All right, we're starting. Lexi, please stop licking. Recording. Oh, you're lucky. It didn't get the sound of you licking her. Okay, so we're gonna do both steps today. Like I said, the light dependent reaction and the Calvin cycle with light independent reaction, since there are people not here. So our first one we're talking about light dependent reaction. So that's going to be the step. So I'm just going to put S. And its location is going to happen on the thylakoid, L-A-K, thylakoid membrane. And this is all taking place inside of the chloroplast, all right? So if I were to look at it, I'm just going to draw this right here. If I were to look at the chloroplast, all right, let's say this right here is a chloroplast. It's happening on the thylakoid. So we've got these, what's going to look like little pancakes, all right? This whole stack is called a grana. Each one of those little things is called a thylakoid. This process right here is happening on the membrane of that thylakoid right there, okay? So that's what we're going to zoom in on right now. Great. Yep. So remember, with this whole process for photosynthesis in general, we're going to start out with our formula. So photosynthesis is going to take in 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O, and it's going to yield or give us 6 O2 plus, what was that? What was our other one it gives us? Glucose. C6H12. Yes, since you don't want to tell me. All right, so we're going to take in carbon dioxide and water. We're going to give off oxygen and glucose. All right, let's get drawing now for our first one. So we've got to start with something. The energy for this step all comes from where? Anyone remember? Mr. Sun Sun, Mr. Golden Sun. Okay. Go big or go home. Okay. So we've got our sun here, and this is going to shine down this energy. Okay. And that energy that it's going to shine down is going to hit on this thylakoid membrane. And so that's what I'm going to start drawing right now. And I'm going to draw the basic structure for this. That way we have all of it. So, yeah. You're going to go to the team room, which is going to be right next to the track. So it's the concession stand. All right. Anyways, all right. So we've got our first molecule. Yes. Second one. Third one. And we've got ATP synthase. Okay. So I've got all this right here. The name of our first molecule that we have right here that it's going to hit is called photosystem, or PS2. This is photosystem 2, and it likes a specific wavelength of light. It likes a wavelength of light P680, or 680 nanometers. So it's very specific on which wavelength it likes. Then I've got this one right here called cytochrome. H-R-O-M-E, cytochrome. C-Y-T-O-C-H-R-O-M-E. And then I've got this one right here called photosystem 1, PS1. The reason why they're in backwards order, and if you're like, Dred, I think you're dumb, photosystem 1 was discovered first. That's why it's photosystem 1. But if you look in the order of them, photosystem 2 comes first, but photosystem 1 was discovered first. That's why they're in that order. This one likes a wavelength of light of P700. Any guess on why they have different wavelengths of light they prefer? Is that advantageous to a plant? Do you think it's advantageous to a plant to have different photosystems that absorb different wavelengths of light? It is. Why? You guys all, yeah. Exactly. Now it has a wider variety of wavelength that it can absorb, so it can get energy from different wavelengths of light. So by having 680 and 700, now it can absorb a wider variety or wider amount of light. All right. And so now what's going to come into this? So right here, something's going to come in and something's going to come off. So right here, what comes in? H2O. H2O is going to come in. The sunlight's going to hit it, and the sunlight's going to split it. And it's going to split it into 2H plus 1 half O2. Okay, bueno. Okay. And when it did that, though, it's going to pull something off of it. Do you remember what it pulls off of it? It pulls off an electron, right? And so this electron's going to separate from it. And when the sun hits it, it's going to excite it. So I'm just going to write E minus. And then it's going to, oh, that looks like E plus. Okay, so we've got E minus. And then it's going to lose energy as it goes down. But then it hits here, and we've got another photosystem. So what do you think the sun does to that electron when the sun hits it? It's going to excite it, and it's going to bring it back up energy-wise. All right, so the electron makes this pathway through these things. So the whole purpose of water was to come in, so now I can split it, remove that electron, and now I've got these hydrogens, okay? Any guess what happens to the oxygen? So the O2 is going to leave. It's going to exit. So it's a waste product. So we think that photosynthesis, oh, the whole purpose plants do photosynthesis is so they can make us oxygen. No, the whole purpose they do photosynthesis so they can make make glucose for themselves. And one of the byproducts or one of the waste products of this is going to be oxygen. That's why they do that. They've got to rip apart water. Oxygen's going to leave, and now I'm left with this big concentration in here of hydrogen. So I've got H plus, H plus, H plus, H plus, okay? And so remember we said when we have this big concentration, does it like it? No, boo-boo, it does not. And so it's going to travel through this molecule. We named this molecule. This molecule right here was named ATP synthase. Okay, and remember it's going to travel through this. So those hydrogens are going to go, ooh, going on a trip on our favorite rocket ship. I was trying to find a way to rhyme enzyme with it, but I couldn't. My lyrics are not ill. All right. So when it does this, it's going to turn it, kind of like a little water wheel or turbine, and it's going to phosphorylate something. So it's going to take ADP plus inorganic phosphate, and it's going to phosphorylate it into ATP. Where'd the energy come from to phosphorylate that? The ultimate source of energy that was used to generate the hydrogens that are used to power ATP synthase to phosphorylate ADP. Do you remember where we got that from? The sun. And we have another term for the sun, which was photo. Okay, so this whole process right here collectively is known as photophosphorylation. Photophosphorylation. All right, and then we're almost done, but now I've got to do something here with that electron. Something's got to come in and something's got to happen with those hydrogens. And so right here on this photosystem 1 that I had, something's going to come in and something's going to come off. Okay, what's going to come in is NADP plus, oh, that was janky. Okay, NADP plus H plus. I hate writing this one. And what's going to come off? NADPH comes off. So if I looked at things I generated, I'll let you finish writing real quick, sorry. For those of you watching at home, I hope you had a wonderful 3-day weekend.
Are you recording this?
Yes, I'm giving you guys a second to write, and that's why I'm talking to the viewers at home so they're not sitting there bored. Yes. Yes.
Why did you let Kiana go? She does not weigh that much.
Still recording.
It's her giving them time to write.
All right. So.
Wait, ask the viewers, why are they called buildings if they've already been built?
What? Viewers at home, Cesar Barajas would like to know, why are they called buildings if they're already built?
Whoa.
And why do we park on driveways and drive on parkways?
Does that say +8?
Hey, you survived. I'm proud of you. Savannah Zilke survived, everybody at home. We're recording right now. No, it's okay. We're glad you're alive. Yes. All right, we had a question. pH, yes. NADPH plus H. Yeah. It's it's NADP plus H plus. So there should be another plus symbol in there. It's NADP plus H plus. Okay? So if I look at all my overall products or things that I've produced, I produced ATP, okay? I produced NADPH, and I produced O2. Only one of these exits. Oxygen. That's our only waste product right now. NADPH and ATP, those are going to be used to drive the Calvin cycle. Okay? All right. Ready? For the
I passed out. I can't text you if I'm really dead.
Calvin cycle. Of course he'll text her. It looks like this. For those of you looking at home, it's approximately 3/4 of the page. Thanks, Miss. All right. So this step is called the Calvin cycle. Its location is going to be the stroma. Did it just keep happening over and over and over again? All right. So I'm going to start with 3 CO2 molecules. So I'm going to sum this up. I'm going to write this like it turned 3 times. Normally it would only turn once, but I'm going to sum it up into turning 3 times. Okay? So I'm going to start with 3 carbon dioxide molecules. Okay? And what it's going to do is it's going to get incorporated into this thing. So carbon dioxide gets incorporated into this something. It's going to get incorporated into something called RUBP or RuBP. Okay? So I'm going to take this RuBP molecule and I'm going to fix carbon dioxide onto it. And what it's going to do, it's going to form 6 of these molecules called 3PGA. I always remember it. You start with golf. Golf, like the Professional Golf Association is called the PGA Tour. Well, you need to start golfing then. Wow, someone's bitter. Sounds like someone got cut from the golf team. Okay. All right. So I've got 3 of these RuBPs. I'm going to add 3 CO2s. All right. So each RuBP is a 5 carbon molecule. So if I were to draw this, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each dot meaning a carbon, I've got 5 of these. If I add a CO2 to each one, now I've got a total of 18 carbons. All right? Then I'm going to rearrange it to make 6 of these 3 carbon molecules called 3PGA. All right? It's called like 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde. So I've got 6 of them. What's 6 times 3? So I've still got 18 total carbon molecules. Okay? So now what's going to happen is I'm going to take this thing and something's going to come in. I need to do some stuff to it. So something's going to come in right here, and something's going to come in right here, and something's going to come up. Okay? So what comes in right here is 6 ATP. And what comes off right here is 6 ADP. Whoa, 6 ADP. And right here, so any guess where that ATP came from? With the sun. From the light-dependent reaction. Remember, I generated ATP. That ATP that I generated is used to drive the Calvin cycle. That's where that ATP came from. Okay? There's something else I made. Do you remember what it was? NADPH. So right here, 6 NADPH come in, and 6 NADP plus come off. Okay? And what it's going to do, it's going to change this molecule up. And so now I no longer have these G3P molecules. Now I have 6. Oh, sorry, I no longer have these 3 PGA molecules. Now I have 6 G3Ps. 6 G3Ps. My bad. That totally was a G. Lo siento. Isn't that a Hannah Montana song? Okay. So, what's going to happen here is this 6 is going to go to 5. What do you know is cycle? Okay. That's why when she said she dreamed about the Calvin cycle, and I said, did it keep going on over and over again? Okay. I have 6 G3Ps right here, and I have 5 G3Ps over here, meaning somewhere along the way, what happened? I lost one, so I gave off a G3P. So a G3P molecule gets given off. Okay? And I'm almost done. This is an ugly cycle. All right, so right here, I need to reorganize this molecule. I've got 5 of these 3-carbon G3Ps. So I've got 5 of these, but I need to restructure it into 3-5. So right now I've got 5 3-carbon molecules. I need to restructure it into 3 5-carbon molecules. And it's going to cost me a little energy right here. So the energy that's going to come in, I'm going to have 3 ATP come in and 3 ADP come off. And now all I've got to do is I've got to label what these little steps have names. Okay? So right here, I've got here. I've got all these steps right here. Okay? Step 1, where I take this carbon dioxide and I add it on to Ruby P, is called fixation. Okay? Sorry. Kim, you want to pull the projector down more? Thanks. Okay. Then, let's look at this step right here. Okay, good luck. Okay? Sana, something, Rana. Yeah. All right. So, right here, NADPH comes in, and NADPH is going to lose an electron. So, that means that NADPH was what? Was it oxidized or was it reduced? If NADPH lost an electron, OILRIG. Oxidation is losing. So NADPH gets oxidized, meaning that 3-PGA was what? If NADPH was oxidized, because it lost an electron, then 3-PGA is going to gain one, meaning it is going to be reduced. This step right here is called reduction. Yes. Something will get oxidized for something to get reduced. All right? And then finally, this step right here is called regeneration. Okay? Regeneration. Okay? And we're almost done. Remember what the whole purpose of photosynthesis? We're going to take sunlight and we're going to synthesize something. Remember what we're trying to synthesize? We're trying to synthesize glucose. So, look at this G3P molecule that we made. It's got 1, 2, 3 carbons. So it's got 3 carbons. How many carbons does glucose have? 6. So how many of these G3P molecules do we think you think we need before we can make a glucose molecule? Times 2 equals glucose. If I make 2 of these G3Ps, now I've got glucose. And in the end, Now you've got everything that does photosynthesis. This is all the Calvin cycle that happens in the stroma, and all this up here is going to be the light-dependent reaction that happens in the thylakoid membrane. That's how we take sunlight to break apart water, incorporate CO2, and now we're going to make glucose because of that. But we couldn't just take CO2 and restructure it. We need to generate NADPH and ATP to do that, and that has to happen when we split water. True, but I'm a plant. If you believe it, it's true. All right, any other questions before I stop this? Okay, very good point. So plants do this whole process to generate glucose. The reason why they do photosynthesis isn't for us. They're not like, oh, I'm going to make glucose so I can sacrifice it to the human gods. They do this so then they can turn around and break that glucose down using cellular respiration themselves. Plants also do cellular respiration. Plants do both. Plants just can't go to Costless when they need food. Plants can't go to Safeway when they need food. We can. That's why plants need to make their own. Okay? All right. Nothing else? All right. Well, not that you care, but now you know.